G'day mate, 40 here. So, one thing we often talk about in 12-step programs is, I'm powerless over people, places and things. I'm powerless over my addiction to alcohol or to dating or under-earning or pornography or unhealthy relationships. Step one is admitting powerlessness over making appropriate good judgments for yourself in a certain area of life. And when you admit that powerlessness, you're not admitting you never have the capacity to make good judgments in this area. It just means that you don't consistently have the capacity to make good judgments, say, in the area of dating or spending or earning or drinking or drugging. And having an appropriate sense of your own lack of power, right, is important. Like, there are certain things that I'm vulnerable to. Right? There are certain areas of life where I don't tend to make good choices, such as in love and romance and eros. Right? I have a lifetime of poor choices in that arena. Till the last few years, I've had a poor track record with regard to earning money. There have been two distinct occasions in my life where I maxed out my credit cards. So on 2 occasions I've had trouble with debt. And got the police doing their job here. Alright, good on the boys in blue. Okay, so recognizing your own lack of power, there's great wisdom to that as long as it's accurate. Right? You don't want to underestimate the amount of power you have. So if you work for a business with a sizable number of employees, all right, you're highly unlikely to be able to transform the business, but one person does have the ability to wreck the social dynamic in a group, in a room, in a synagogue. Right? One person can poison a synagogue, a business, a room, a group, a community, a club. Right? So that's a tremendous amount of power. Like, one person's bad decisions, just one bad decision when they're driving can tie up and delay thousands of productive citizens. One disruptive homeless person can significantly diminish the quality of life for hundreds of people. So in many ways it's a lot easier to have power when you do horrible things. Now, here's a dynamic that I notice among political dissidents. They tend to either have an exaggerated sense of their own power or an underestimation of their own power, and I don't think either's the way to go. So believing that you have the power to decide who's the next president of the United States, obviously that's a dramatic overestimation of your own power levels. Even who you can decide will be the next US Senator from your state. Someone I know who played a significant role in Alan Cranston's 1986 senatorial victory by funding someone who would take votes away, I believe, from Ed Shah, the Republican, because this person was concerned about Israel, well, that Ed Shah wasn't good for Israel, so he illegally funneled money towards some candidate to weaken the Republicans. So, one person with illicit funding can sometimes determine the U.S. Senate race. Donald Trump, right, came out of nowhere, mounted a hostile takeover of the Republican Party, and then took over the presidency of the United States. So, one person can do incredible things. And then in our own lives, if we get enthusiastic about something, even if we never, ever, 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 ever push it on anyone else, right, it will often have a contagious effect. So if you take up weightlifting, right? Probably 5 to 10% of men around you will be influenced to do something similar. If that's my experience, you take up jogging, people around you, there'll be some people around you who will be influenced by that. If you take up playing cricket, showing an interest in cricket, right, there'll be some people around you who will imitate that. If you start going to church or start going to synagogue or start practicing Judaism or Christianity, right, there'll be, even if you never promote it, push it, recommend it, prescribe it to anyone else, right, there'll be people around you who will be affected and shifted and moved. So I think we underestimate our influence on other people as long as we avoid directing, prescribing, or pushing it on others. Right? Since we start pushing, prescribing, directing others to, they should go out and buy a new type of sheet. They should, try eating a new food, or they should go see this doctor. Right? Usually, unsolicited advice will push people away from whatever it is that you want to promote. But if you simply embody what it is that you're enthusiastic about, what has helped your life, right, that radiates outward. So I think we tend to underestimate our influence on others. And we tend to overestimate our ability to directly control things. Right? We can influence people, but we have no idea where that influence will go. We can talk about a book that we're reading, and someone else can start reading the same book, and they recommend it to someone else, and that can be rippling circles of influence moving out into the world. It can be significant. But we tend to, I think, overestimate the direct amount of influence we can wield when we're conscious of wielding it. So, as with many things, when we're influencing unconsciously, we're at our most powerful. So, when I tell myself I'm not walking, I will tend to walk with more grace and ease. When I tell myself I'm not standing up out of a chair, I will tend to arise from the chair more gracefully and easily. And so with influence, when we do it unconsciously, without any psychological or religious need to direct other people, but we just are happy in something that we've developed for ourselves, then yeah, that can have a big influence on others.